Hi everybody, I'm James Kelly and I'll be taking you through our facility tour today. So we're going to start with the flow of components into our building, through our manufacturing areas and then out to our warehousing and export. So our purpose-built facility was built in 2017. The flow of a building allows for components coming in from this side of the building, going into our inwards where we get components and raw materials in. It then transfers down the building as it gets manufactured, coming out this side of the building, which then gets transferred over to our warehousing and export facility. So our two main buildings we have our main building here that has the offices and the manufacturing areas, and then we have our other building which has our warehousing, assembly and export. So our inwards goods containers arrive here on the MPI pads, which is the Ministry of Primary Industries. These containers then get unloaded and processed from here, entering into our inwards goods area. So when our inwards components arrive here in the building, they then go through a quarantine process where our QA and QC teams then enter them into our systems. We currently have 650 raw materials, mainly from suppliers in Australia and New Zealand. Our components get stored here where they can then get prepped for transferring into the factory for filling. So from the inwards warehousing, we're now going to go through into our compounding area where we do our mixing of our formulations. So this is our compounding area where we do all the mixes of our formulations. The room's temperature controlled. So we're taking raw materials and we're then blending them into our processing vessels. As per our recipes, we use multiple processes of emulsifying, mixing of either hot or cold mixes. These mixes then get checked by a QC team before being transferred out to the factory for filling. So we have multiple machines in here where we have wax tanks and emulsifiers, and this room has been designed for future capacity that as and where we'd need to, we could add in new machinery to capitalise on future projects. So once our vessels have entered into the factory for filling and they're emptied, they then return into the cleaning area where they're then cleaned and sanitised and returned to the manufacturing area for refilling. So from the compounding area, our mixers and the vessels then enter into the filling hall. The mix ends up on the end of the line, which it then starts its filling process, which goes into either a tub or a tube. Morning, ladies. From that process, it then goes through its labelling, inkjetting and then palletising. So currently we're operating 12 filling lines. So our main machines are our piston filling machines. These are semi-automated where they have automated filling, manual capping and automated labelling. We also have a dedicated oil filling line and two tube fillers. One of our tube fillers is semi-automated and the other one is fully automated with tube loading, filling and batch coating. So behind me we have our fully automated single mask filling machine. This machine currently does about 4,500 units per hour. We do have another product that is a double mask, so there's two components in the single sachet, which we manually fill and we manually seal. We have ordered a machine which will sit in that area, which will fully automate the filling and the sealing of that double mask project, and that has a payback period of just under a year. So our staff are one of our biggest assets, and we currently have 95 staff across the factory and the warehousing. We have a large ethnic workforce, and through their communities, we have then a large access to casuals that we can onboard as and when we need it to increase capacity. Morning, Connie.
Good morning, James.
Hey, Lottie, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So from here, we're going to go out into our second filling hall, where we have our dedicated hair care filling line. So this is our dedicated hair care filling line, where mix enters the line, bottles get loaded in, automatically transfer through to the 6-piston filling. They exit the machine, caps come up the cap elevator, get loaded onto the bottle. They then get capped automatically, ink jetted, so the bottles are then loaded into shippers and then onto pallets ready for export. So we commissioned this line in early 2024. Previously, hair care had run in the other filling room down 2 processing lines. That used 8 staff and was producing about 40,000 units per week. This machine can run up to 2,500 units per hour, meaning we can produce up to 60,000 units per week. And to match sales, we only have to operate for 2 weeks out of a month, meaning there's 50% capacity remaining for that machine. So this side of the room has been prepared with the services for expansion of future capacity. So we could put another production line in here should we need to in the future. So this is our candle production room. Morning, ladies. Morning. So the flow of components come into the back of this room. We then blend the wax and the fragrances to then go into our automated filling line. So the jars are entering into the process. They get automatically assembled with a wick. They go into the filling process to then head down the line to go through some cooling and some heating processes to then make it back here where we do a manual polishing, a label and an assembly. Currently this line produces about 2,100 larger candles per day and 4,200 smaller units over an 8-hour shift. So a current project that we're scoping for is to take the manual polishing and labelling process to fully automate to then go down a purpose-built assembly table to get packed off ready for export. So this building was opened in 2023. Previously our finished goods were stored over in the main building, and as we converted that into candle production area, allowed us to then build this building that currently houses 2,200 pallets. Morning, Aries. Morning. So in this building we store our finished goods and also componentry that can then get taken through to the assembly area where it's then packed into either a unit box or into a gift set to then get palletized and then go out into the export containers for export. So we have a planned expansion project for this building. In October 2024, we're going to increase the capacity by 720 pallet spaces by continuing the racketing in this area. That'll take our total capacity across the business to just over 3,000 pallets. So to recap the flow of our building, we have components of raw materials entering this side of the building. They're then processed and manufactured down to the end. They then get transferred across to our warehousing for either storage or assembly, where they're then packed into containers for export. As you can see, we have lots of room for increased capacity and scalability. If you have any further questions, please ask.